second half, but equal opportunities. I think it was seven opportunities each to score, so very evenly balanced game, and I really enjoyed it, Ali. Thoroughly entertaining. Really sloppy goal to concede at the start of the second half, which is a killer. First of all, we didn't win the first ball, the corner's too simple, and then very unfortunate with the but I think we can't complain at a 2-2 draw.
So a terrific game of football, chances at both ends of the field. City led twice, a Haaland penalty cancelled out, and then a terrific goal by Marmoush that was cancelled out by an unfortunate own goal by Kuzanov. Chances for both teams to make it 3-2. Nico hit the base of the post. There were other chances as well. And I guess in terms of chances created, 2-2 is probably a fair reflection. That's the full-time score here at the Etihad Stadium. City 2, Brighton 2. Well, let's go back to the studio and join FG.
Yes, thank you very much. Full time here from the City in the Community Etihad Stadium, Manchester City 2, Brighton 2. A fascinating game, chance after chance. A Brighton equaliser early in the second half, and chances for both sides. Nico hitting the post from a corner with a header, a chance for Brighton late on as well. Probably should have done a lot better. But honours even here at the Etihad Stadium, and it's hard to argue against that scoreline.
Yeah, probably is. I think in cold light of day and reflection of it, you would have thought, a draw would have been a fair result, because both teams had really good opportunities to win the game. As you said, Nico with a header, and the Brighton lads, who basically it's just a Brighton counter-attack, and it falls from penalty spot, just a clear path to goal to shoot and hit the target and blazes it over. I mean, big chance. You've seen the manager's reaction. There's the manager there, Brighton manager. He was absolutely kind of just inconsolable, really, with that missed chance. But as I said, Brighton will feel a little bit of grief, but then again, I think so will City. Ultimately, I think 2-2 is a fair result.
Fair result indeed. It was a chance for Belabor at the end, and the ball went across the box, and you'd think, for all he's worth, he's got to hit the target there and make Ortega make a save. He blazed it over the bar. City got away with one. When you look at the race for the top 5, as it is, the UEFA Champions League spots, City are in a position where they are still in control of their own destiny.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the driving seat. And I think, again, reflecting back and looking back at the manager's comments before today's game, he was sort of saying it's destiny's in City's hand and every game's a cup final. And that's true. I mean, we said before the game, Brighton's a good team. They're on an excellent run. They've got a very good manager, got some very good players. They play really good attacking, counter-attacking football at times, especially when they're playing away from home. So, yeah, of course, there's always going to be tough games. But, as I said, looking back on it, 2-2, fair result.
Yeah, they'll be delighted as well, Brighton, with a result
Absolutely.
Like that, won't they? I mean, the second half kicked off, and a few minutes into the second half, it was really unlucky for Kushner. The ball just rebounding off him, so to speak, into the back of the net. It went down as an own goal. Other than that, his performance was very good again. Positive signs from him. He's only going to get better in a City shirt, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably one look at it is, listen, you can't do anything with the ball that hits him and goes in, but he's the last man, and he plays everybody on side. And I think if he's in line with the rest of his teammates, then that goal's disallowed, because the Brighton lads is offside. So I think he'd be disappointed with that rather than the actual goal itself.
Is that a case of just being a new player in the squad potentially, and not quite being on the same wavelength yet with the players? He has played a few games with Ruben Diaz and with other players. I
could probably give him the benefit of the doubt and probably say yes. And sometimes it is a case of just, you're kind of caught up in everything that's going on, and you're just not aware of the fact that you have to just push up with everybody else as a group. But listen, as I said, he's still a very young lad, and he'll learn and grow from that.
Yeah, and of course, Erling Haaland in that first half became a record breaker. 100 goal contributions for Man City. It goes without saying how important he is. A man that was also equally as impressive is Omar Marmoush. Involved in both goals in some capacity. Of course, he won the penalty and then scored the second goal. How excited are you to have seen more of him in the City shirt?
Yeah, I like him. I mean, I like what I saw of him before he came to City. He's very direct. He just will shoot from anywhere. And I think that's brilliant. I think it's one of them ones where, sometimes it clearly just doesn't come off, but sometimes it does, and sometimes it catches goalkeepers out. I mean, the goal that he scored today was a brilliant strike, whips it away from the goalkeeper, absolutely no chance, and then does the defender for the penalty for Haaland when he cuts inside and he takes his leg away. A very, very good player. One I'm looking forward to watching more of, definitely.
And I have to talk to you about that chance from Nico from a corner. He'll be bitterly disappointed that he didn't get that in the back of the net. It hit off the post. Awful well, he should have scored there, shouldn't he?
He should have. I think sometimes, with players, what they do is sometimes instead of getting it on target, they want to aim for the smallest of little margins. So get it as tight as the post as he can, or hit the post and go in, rather than if he gets it on target or close to that post, it goes in. I don't think the goalkeeper's going to have a chance. I think the goalkeeper will be very fortunate if he saves that. It will just be one of them reflex ones, or it's just hit him. And I think that's what sometimes can happen when players have a little bit of time to try and pinpoint it rather than just getting it on target.
Let's take a look, shall we, at the table then, shall we? As it stands, we mentioned before it was the race for the top 5. It still is the race for the top 5 as we bring up the table. And Manchester City are still in 5th position, albeit Newcastle are not playing this weekend. They're involved in the cup final, as you'll know. Brighton are creeping up, though. There's still a 1 point gap between us, but they're well within a chance, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, they've had a really good season, and you're looking really as far as probably Bournemouth that are possibilities to nick that 5th spot. But as you said earlier on, it's in our hands. So it's up to us to make sure that you do get those victories that secure that Champions League spot. I said before that earlier on in the programme that I do think we'll end up probably 3rd or 4th, so comfortable. At the moment it looks tight, but there's still a good few games to go.
So you mentioned earlier on, didn't you, that you think the top 5? I mean, has that changed at all? Do you still think it's going to be the same top 5, but maybe in a different order?
I think it's going to be a different order. I think, listen, Liverpool's won the league. I don't think there's any getting away from that. But even Arsenal, I mean, for me, they're not certainties to finish 2nd. So I think that top 5 is the top 5, but I think it's a different order.
And the goal difference as well for Man City is really positive in terms of when you're looking at the likes of Brighton, Newcastle as well, of course, and Aston Villa at -4. That's a point in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I totally agree. It's more or less another point. So, of course, getting the goals that they have so far this season obviously helps them. I do think it is going to be a case where they're not even going to be bothered with the goal difference, although it's always good to have a plus goal difference. I just think they'll have enough points to get in there comfortably.
And when you're looking ahead to Man City then and the other competition they're in, of course, the FA Cup, Bournemouth away next to come. I mean, that is a tough game. An opportunity, of course, to go to Wembley for both sides. How do you see that one going?
That'll be a tough game. I think they've had an excellent season. I think they've got a very, very good manager. One that kind of, when he first went in, people were kind of scratching their heads. What's all this about? Is he going to be good enough for the Premier League? And he's proven to everybody he's a very, very good, astute manager. But a tough game. But without a doubt, yes, it's not been the best season for Manchester City. But at the same time, they've got such good players that you've got to fancy them going anywhere and win.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go and hear from our commentators then, shall we? Andy Morrison and Ali on their thoughts of today's game.
Yeah, welcome back. Myself and Andy have been on commentary duty this afternoon. A fabulous game of football. Is 2-2 a fair reflection of what we've seen?
Yeah, I think so, Ali. I think it was both teams, we've hit the post. They've had a great opportunity where it's been put over the bar. So probably an even result at the end of the day. Although I think City will be disappointed in the manner of the goal they conceded just after half-time. Missed the first header, didn't deal with a corner, and then really unfortunate. But if you don't win the first one, keep it alive in the box, anything can happen.
Did you take a lot of positives because that was a good Brighton side, wasn't it?
Very good Brighton side, and they play with such freedom, Ali. I mean, it's no disrespect to Brighton, but if you make a mistake for Brighton, it's not highlighted in the same way, I think, one of the top 4 clubs over the last few years. So they play with great freedom, and you can see it in the way they play from the back and through the thirds. But I was really impressed with them, and you mentioned something about their physicality, the legs and their athletes throughout the team. So really impressed with them, but I think 2-2 is probably a fair result.
Was it important important that City didn't lose that game, because it could have done.
Exactly, because they're one of the challengers. We're coming into that period now. You know, it looks like it's going to come down to maybe the last 3 or 4 games of the season. Who's going to cement that top 4, top 5? And City have to make sure they're in there. There's enough there today. Marmoush was good. I thought Doku was man of the match. So there were some real positives, but still, you know, those clean sheets. We've got to get clean sheets back in the game.
If you are looking at this game as a whole, what areas do you think City need to sort of make sure they get right in the remaining 9 games of the season?
Well, we're looking at the bench today, Ali, and there's incredible quality to come off the bench. You know, cementing that back line and making sure there's no more injuries. So there's a familiarity between, if it is what we're going with there today, Diaz, Kuzanov and Gavardio, then there's a bit of familiarity in the play. And that's really, really important to get them clean sheets. But there's so much attacking options. We saw what we come off the bench with Foden, De Bruyne, Silva. You know, that's where we're going to score goals. Can we not concede? Because we will create and we will score goals.
So we're going to the international break. 9 Premier League games to play, a quarter-final of an FA Cup. How do you see the final portion of the season now?
Well, I see positive, Ali, you know, and I think Pep spoke about it this week. You know, if we get to the latter stages into a semi at Wembley in the FA Cup and we get into Europe, the Champions League, then that's a positive season. From the amount of injuries we've had and the difficulties that we've had through this season, that will be a positive for me, making that top 4. But it's imperative that this team make that top 4/5.
Thanks, Andy. The thoughts there of Andy Morrison. Back to you, FG.
Thank you very much. Brilliant work today on the commentary team. Now let's look ahead then. We've spoken about the Bournemouth game. Top 5 still to go, but I want to touch on the women's team as well. They play Chelsea next in the WSL. But of course we've got Champions League on Wednesday as well. After a cup final, they have to play the same team again and again and again.
Yeah.
Do you think that's added motivation?
Yeah, because I think they'll look back on the game today and feel a little hard done by. Because if you look at the 2 Chelsea goals, the first fortunate one was unfortunate because the goalkeeper pulls off a good save and then it comes off the defender and then back into I think Ramirez's path to sticking in the back. And then the second goal is an own goal. Whereas I thought in general play, the City women were by far better. So I think they'll feel a little aggrieved and a little bit disappointed. Of course, it's a cup final, so it stings that extra little bit. But on that performance, they'll know they've got the better of them. And I think, obviously, it just adds that little bit of extra spice with it being in the Champions League.
Will there be much partying on the Chelsea side in terms of celebrating today's result, knowing they've got a game on Wednesday?
I think with it being an early kick-off on a Saturday, I think the manager might allow them to have a couple of, shall I say, glasses of sherry, maybe. I don't even know what women drink nowadays, in all fairness, wine. But I don't think there'll be anything major. I mean, listen, all the women would be pretty much sort of in the professional mode, and yes, they might have a couple of drinks just to celebrate because I think you have to, when you win something. But nothing too serious because ultimately you've got a massively important game on Wednesday. Yeah,
absolutely. And there'll be a MatchDay live show for Chelsea in the WSL. Liam Loftus will be hosting it. Tony Duggan will be back, as well as Jen Beattie for the game against Chelsea. We've also got tickets available for the next fixture here at the Etihad for the men's team. Leicester City at home. Tickets are now on sale, available at mancity.com/tickets. So make sure you log online and grab yourself a couple before they're all gone. Mr. Steve Howie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Unfortunate day, of course, for the women's team. A fair point here at the City in the Community Etihad Stadium. An absolute pleasure, as always, to be with you.
Loved it, and it's been great work with yourself and Tony.
And Tony as well.
And everybody.
And everybody as well. Thank you, everyone who's watched MatchDay Live. We will see you again soon.
The Z2A of Tokyo? Sure, let's go. Z, Zega Hidemo. Y is for you, because there's only one. X, check please. W is for wonder. V is valiance. U, uniform, unified, Uchage Hanabi. T is for Takashi Ogami. S, silver. R is for reinvention. Q, we are quietly confident. P, precision. O, we go for one cup. N, we're those noisy neighbors. M, meticulous, measured, mastered. L is for those late nights with friends or strangers. K is kawaii. Ah, that's cute. J, Junin, Toiro. I is for intrigue. H is for Harajuku, the place to be yourself. G is to be gifted. F, 不可能を可能にするのは努力だ. Always express yourself. D is for dedication. C is to be carefree. B is for beer. And A for the best one there is. アサヒスーパードライ